And welcome to DMV Doers. I'm Mark Hall. Today we have an opportunity to speak with two amazing gentlemen who are certainly making an impact in the region. Michael Aiken, who's the president of Link Strategic Partners, and Jamal Holtz, who is the vice president and chief of staff. Gentlemen, welcome to DMV Doers.
Thanks for having us.
We're so glad to have you guys, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Michael, let's talk with you. Link Strategic Partners. Tell us about the important work that you and Jamal are doing.
Absolutely. So Link's a social impact consulting firm. We do communications and community and stakeholder engagement work. Started the business here in D.C. 14 years ago. Really proudly a DC CBE, Certified Business Enterprise. So we started from a little office in the Greater Washington Urban League on 14th Street. Now we have offices across the U.S., across the U.K., and we do work around the world. So it's been a good story of local impact and global reach.
When you talk about global reach or local impact, you talk about some of the things that you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jamal and I were totaling this up the other day, and I think in the last 20 months, we've been in somewhere around 21 different countries. So all of the work we do continues to be very local in nature, but we're just doing it in a global scale. The idea is that often the communities most impacted by a decision are too often the last communities to be consulted about that decision making. So all of the work we do is around giving voice to communities and helping them tell their story in the most authentic way.
You know, Jamal, obviously you have a very important title of Chief of Staff. I mean, talk about your team that makes up your organization. You know, just talk about their impact. What makes them special?
No, I'm pretty proud of the team that I help lead every day with Michael and the rest of our executive team. But our team, I like to say, we operate in the sense of we have to ensure that we're building a team that's, one, in and of the places where we do work, and two, that's reflective of the work that we do as well. And so as a social impact consulting firm, that means that we have to staff our team to be able to not only meet the needs of our clients, but also be able to share lived experience with our clients. And so I think that the stats and the demographics are one thing, but just to share a little, we pride ourselves of being born and bred in D.C. We hire people from all 8 wards of Washington, D.C. Our youngest employee is 16. Our oldest employee, but youngest at Spirit and Heart, is 98. The legend Charlie Brotman, who was a former announcer for the Nationals, and really, I think those ages, they aren't outliers, particularly with our organization. We are very intentional about ensuring that we're hiring from every generation and walk of life. We like to say we don't hire consultants and make them better consultants. We hire people with lived experience, with people who come from different industries and backgrounds, former teachers, former people who worked in government, former producers on news stations. So we like to ensure that our team is reflective of the work we do.
But that's so important.
Very important. I mean, you can't just practice. You got to practice and preach. I mean, you just can't preach. You got to practice and preach. So we pride ourselves on ensuring that that all the work we do is while centered around community, that we also have the people that driving that work who actually have lived and worked experience within that.
Michael, let's talk a little bit about the hyperlocal work and how you've applied that on a global scale.
Yeah.
Take us down that.
I want to build on that question and what Chief said, and Jamal is our chief and our executive vice president, was recently promoted and really helping lead the operation over there. So in addition to the multi-generational nature of our work, we just looked at the stats that make up our team, and about 65% of our team identify as women, about 70% as people of color, about 40% of our team speak a second language. Something we're really proud of, 15% of our team are second chance hires of formerly incarcerated individuals. If we're going to be in and of the communities we serve, we have to be about those communities and of those communities, and we have a team that reflects that really authentically. How that shows up in a global way is so many local challenges and opportunities anywhere in the world. I think people sometimes think they're the only folks facing that challenge or opportunity. When you take that and look around the world, lots of other communities have faced similar challenges and found similar opportunities. So how are we learning from other communities and bringing that back home? I'll give you a really specific example. We build a lot of sporting events and entertainment events around the world. We're about to launch something called the Jamaica Cup, a new tennis tournament in Montego Bay, Jamaica. It's a big global sporting event, but it's localized in that local kids, local tennis pros will be part of the experience. We were going to launch it last year, the same week that the country got hit by a hurricane. can't do that during a hurricane. So now we've worked with them over the course of the following year to bring an event like that back in full coordination with our local partners, so it can now be part of rebuilding the community, the island, etc. And the Howard University tennis team is going to come down and play the event. So suddenly you have a local event here, a local event there that is tying together two great cities and meeting a pretty neat cause.
Staying with you, though, Michael, when we talk about social impact consulting, what does that mean, and maybe how do you guys do it differently?
Yeah. So when I started this firm 14 years ago, the idea was rather simple, right? If you want to hire a lawyer, you hire a law firm. If you need accounting support, you hire an accounting firm, right? If you want to be a better neighbor and community partner, there wasn't a firm for that. So the idea was that we could build a professional services firm, a consulting firm that really worked on community engagement. Now, it's one thing as an entrepreneur to have an idea. It's another thing for that idea to take hold. So when we brought that idea to market, nonprofits loved it and had no money for it. The private sector thought the idea was adorable. And the public sector said, what's the commodity code we need to use to hire you, right? The idea was solid, but no one knew how to buy the services. So we launched as a communications and engagement firm, right? Launch into a space people know, teach them the new space. So when I say social impact, how are we making sure that every decision we make with our partners is rooted in the communities they serve? How are we making sure that we're working on projects that move people towards progress? Within that, we work in a whole bunch of different spaces, but it keeps community at the center of what we do.
And Jamal, can you just give us maybe just some examples of the services that you provide or the work that you're doing?
Yeah, Michael talked about, so we do communications and engagement. So think of everything on the communication side. We do everything from branding, design, helping people tell their story, social media, PR, stuff that a traditional comms and PR shop does. And then on the engagement side, we do everything from community engagement, strategic planning, organizational assessment, really change management, helping organizations think through how do they not just serve in the moment, but serve for the future. And so we work at the nexus, right? Often when you're leading a process around engagement, you often are required to be able to communicate that back effectively too, right? And so example of some of our work, we got to work on the strategic plan for Howard University. We work with the university on thinking through how do they not just serve students in this moment, but how do they build a resilient framework that's strategic and focused, that allows a university to grow, that increases their enrollment numbers, that focuses on ensuring that their facilities are up to speed. And that we pride ourselves on leading and sort of partnering on that work, because it's in the district, but it's also work that's building resilience for the future. And so that's an example of some of the work that we do locally or across the country.
All right, stay with us. We're going to continue our conversation with Michael Aiken and Jamal Holtz with Link Strategic Partners. Welcome back to DMV Doers. I'm Mark Hall. We're continuing our conversation with Michael Aiken and Jamal Holtz with Link Strategic Partners. Michael, you guys have a philosophy. It's doing well and doing good aren't mutually exclusive. What does that mean to you, and more importantly, what does that mean to your organization?
Yeah, the idea that you can build something that allows people to take care of themselves and their families and their communities and do well by the communities you serve is the core focus of what we do. You can do well and you can do good. We built an entire practice area around that became the focus of our business. And as I said before, when we took this idea to market, people were like, oh, that's adorable. And then sometime between the first and the fifth time we were listed on the Inc. 5000 of the fastest growing and most successful companies in America, that stopped being an adorable idea. It became, oh, there's something to this. You can do only community serving work, and you can do it in a way that is profitable and provides for your staff and your families and your communities. We're trying to prove that model every day, and it's something we're proud of.
You know, Jamal, the Inc. 5000 award, does that tell you that maybe you guys are doing it the right way?
I think we're doing it the best way. No, but I mean that in a sincere way, where I think there are not a lot of people who do what we do uniquely well, right? And so to be able to receive a prestigious award that is almost honor to companies like Meta, Google, those big companies, and to share that list with those type of companies, it's not only to say that the philosophy that Michael founded 14 years ago, it's working and it's working well, but it also means that there's a impact on the work that we do, and it has reach across the globe. And so when we first got on the Inc. list, it was almost something that was like, wait, like, did we really win this, right? Was it an error email or something like that? But it really upheld the principle that doing impact-driven work has a space, but also it has an opportunity to thrive and do well and do good.
Let's stay with you, Jamal. Let's talk about the importance of mentorship and how it's evolved. I mean, that mentorship is so important.
Yeah, I mean it's very important in the workplace, and I give Michael a lot of credit on sort of building executive that I am today. I started as a young kid with braces at this firm who had a crazy hairstyle, and to be able to sit today in a nice suit, tie, and everything, but also be able to lead a team. That's honestly due to a lot of the mentorship that I got over the years, the past 6-7 years, or maybe how long, 25 years, maybe, I don't know, that I've been working with the firm. But being able to watch a leader who is, one, focused not only on the work that we do, but has a keen focus on the people, because the firm doesn't work without the people. And so when you have leadership that is focused on ensuring that the people are good, that the people are invested in everything, not just from a dollar standpoint, but ensuring that everybody has a life outside of work, and ensuring that you're invested in that, it really, it's a different style of leadership. And so I think that's why our retention rate is pretty high. We've never had anyone quit. We've had people go on to do great things, right? But never had anyone quit in the sense of like not being proud of the work we do, and that's honestly due to the leadership and the mentorship that Michael leads at the firm.
Yeah, Michael, let's stay with that. I mean, for you, mentorship, the importance of mentorship is not a punchline.
It's not. And if I look at my career path, like I was raised largely by my mom in upstate New York, first in my family to go to college. My mom and dad earlier in life ran a small business, so I was able to see the hard work and what it takes to move forward. My mom was a high school janitor. My mom was a housekeeper. She worked in the school cafeteria. She worked in the special needs bus. That work ethic comes directly from her. So when I saw that I came to Washington, D.C., into this giant city, I come from a really small town. So I got to this big city, and I was trying to figure this city out. And it was mentors who invested in me, and invested in me fully and selflessly, that introduced me to this city. Very specifically, a man named Bernard Demchuk. He facilitated introductions to literally everyone in his network for this kid that knew nobody in the city. And that opened up the world to me. So I think my mentorship style is very similar of let's bring people in, not just on a website, right? Let's bring them into interviews. Let's bring them into the work. Let's bring them into what it takes to be a professional, because it's really hard, and you don't do it alone. You do it by bringing people up.
And that, I mean, it also makes me think about our associateship program, right? We intentionally don't call it an internship because we want, we created a program that allows for people to be treated as professionals as they deserve. Yep. They are client-facing. They lead projects. They're paid, and they get benefits just like any other employees. They get executive coaching as well, business cards, and so those are important things as you think about mentorship. We also have to put that in the fabric of the working process too. And so our associate program is a great head nod to what true mentorship looks like.
Jamal, we got about a minute and a half, and you may not be able to get it all in, but tell us how you began working with Michael.
So I began working with the firm. I started in government, working in the mayor's office of community affairs under Mayor Bowser, and I attended a tennis tournament once that the firm was leading all the government affairs and the government relations and community engagement and the public relations for the tournament. And at that tournament, I met Michael, and then a few months later, I was looking for something different to do, and this felt like the sweet spot of being able to do community-centered work aligned with my values. And doing well and doing good. And so that's kind of where I landed at the firm.
All right. Hey, stay with us. We're going to continue our conversation with Michael Aiken and Jamal Holtz with Link Strategic Partners. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to DMV Doers. I'm Mark Hall. We continue our conversation with Michael Aiken, the president of Link Strategic Partners, and, of course, Jamal Holtz, who is the executive vice president and also the chief of staff. Michael, let's go back to you. Give us some examples of not necessarily wins, but how you're helping people right here in the region that you proudly call home now?
Absolutely. So if you look at our impact that we get to do with our partners in education, everything from the outreach we do on behalf of the city for My School DC, the public school lottery, right, to the University of the District of Columbia. Jamal mentioned earlier a strategic plan we did with Howard. We also did a strategic planning process with the University of the District of Columbia. So we're able to have impact from preschool all the way through postgraduate education by engaging the people where we are here. We do extensive work in public health. We do extensive work in community engagement. We do a lot of work around planning. If someone's trying to build something new, how do you bring local communities into discussion around that to make sure it's not happening to them, but it's happening with them? So we've taken all of those areas we've worked in, from education and nonprofit work to private sector to healthcare, and then we figured out a way to learn from DC, contribute to DC, and then start taking those lessons regionally, nationally, and globally. And that, to me, is where it really starts to work. When you can be hyper-local and global in nature, it starts to make real impact.
And if I could just touch on some of like the tangible impacts too, right? Like Michael talked about the UDC, University District of Columbia, their strategic plan. In that strategic plan, we engage students, we engage community, we engage faculty, and we ask them what were their priorities. And I'll just name one. One of them was housing. That students wanted housing on campus. And you know what they're doing now? Due to the strategic plan under President Addison's vision and sort of the work of the strategic plan, they're building student housing. And so I don't want to be the one to say we take credit for that, but the fact that we created a process that allowed for people to say, here's what we want and here's the outcome, is something that I love to see as somebody who grew up in the district. Another one, the Streets for the People, is something that we worked on with the Office of Planning, really looking at our downtown core and how do we make that Streets for the People? How do we attract people to come downtown beyond just the monuments and the fancy office buildings, but how do we attract people downtown to actually do things like live, work, and play? And so we worked on a plan that allowed for community members to give feedback on what did it look like to build a downtown that was resilient and that allowed people to live, work, and play. And so to see a lot of those things starting to go into action, I love to see as somebody who grew up in the district.
And you know, Jamal, it seems like a lot of work that you do helps a lot of people at one time, especially when you're talking about housing. But without naming names, is there maybe one individual that comes to mind that might be a success story because he or she may have benefited, from the amazing work that you guys do?
That's a good question. I mean, I would probably even say my own family have benefited from the work that we've done. We got to work on things like paid family leave and being able to promote that program across the district, and being able to leverage that value as a district resident. We got to work on the unemployment during a very troubling time during COVID. We got to work on with the Office of Unemployment Insurance, where we got to work to make that process easier for people who are unemployed to be able to access benefits. And my family went through that process. And so to be able to look back and say, that's something that I worked on, it truly, it makes you feel good in doing the work that you do every day.
Michael, you shared your story about your mom. I think it was awesome. But what would you tell another entrepreneur in the region trying to grow their business right now? What would be your advice for their success model?
I know
there's a lot of layers to that.
Yeah, no, I'll give you a quick answer to this. Ignore the advice that doesn't work for you and embrace the advice that does. One of the most famous advice given to entrepreneurs is you should start and then fail fast and fail often. Who can do that? Most people can't. If you're going to fail fast and fail often, you come from wealth. That was not my background. If I failed, the people around me failed, and that has generational impact. So I would say take the advice that works for you, lean into a model that can be uniquely yours, build the support, find risk sponsors, because it's hard out there, right? The Inc. 5000 means so much to us because it's impossible to start something. It's even harder to sustain it. To grow it and be on a list like that 5 times, that's a great validation, but it comes from really hard work. So build support around you, find those risk sponsors, and take the advice that works and let the other stuff go.
And Jamal, let me ask you this, sort of in that same lane, but some would say that fast growth is hard to sustain in the industry. What's actually driving it, and what's your competitive edge?
I think it's the exact question that you asked me. The reason is because of the exact question that you asked me last, is talking about the impact. The fact that we have a story to tell, that not only us, but the people who we're doing work with have a story to tell. and to say that we're a part of that story. I think that's what's driving the growth, right? Like it's almost a natural business development effort to be able to say, it's for someone to be able to say, I worked with Link, and this was the great outcome of that. And so I think that fast growth is not just because of how intentional we are in doing the work. Clearly, I'm about to cry because of the work that we do. But it's also that someone could reflect back and tell the story on why that work was impactful to them. Builds another opportunity for us to do it again with someone else.
You know, Michael, you guys are helping people. In some ways, you're shaping lives, and I mean that sincerely. I mean, is that what kind of keeps you going?
It is absolutely what keeps me going. Watching Jamal, who started with us in high school and then joined our internship program and then came on board as a project manager and then became a special assistant and then became a chief of staff and then became an executive vice president and earned every step of the way. That's what drives me, right? Watching the people that are around us and the communities we serve. And frankly, being able to prove that you can have a model that does well and does good. The Inc. 5000, interesting thing to us. We love it. We're very proud of it. But if the only metric was financial growth, we would have failed, right? If the financial growth can't be tied to impact in your communities and impact with your people, then it's just a metric. So the money part is a cool thing to measure, but it is just one data point that we look at. And that's what gets me excited, that we can truly have impact.
Your response?
Oh my God! I mean, it's heartfelt. I mean, to Michael's point, the metrics are one thing, but like I said, it's the story that tells another. I get to wake up every day and do community-driven work, and that's hard. That's a hard place to find, and it's often hard to find doing that work and make good money on doing it, right? And so. So I think about, like, how do I not just lean into the work that I do, but also pave the way for people to also be able to be a part of this, and we do that quite a bit through our associate program.
And Michael, my last question, let's talk about, I mean, your journey has been amazing, and so is Jamal's, but what's the next 5 years look like for Link?
Yeah, so we have been very intentional in not letting an external metric drive our growth. So when you said before, like, fast growth is hard to sustain, it absolutely is. And so for us, it's not let's hire 100 more people or be in this many more communities. It's can we sustain the impact that we're growing in a way that works for everybody, right? So if you look at business cycles, fast growth can often be followed by fast ungrowth, right? Like the drop off. We're trying to make sure that we can build a system that brings everyone forward, and that's what we're going to keep investing on. So I see more cities, more communities, more countries, and more impact.
Yeah. But do you ever fall into, not the trap, but maybe tweaking the model?
Yeah, we've evolved the model, absolutely, right? When I started this company, we were going to be a DC-focused business. We're still a DC-based and influenced and in and of business, but we've now exported that model around the world. That, to me, is really exciting, right? I think people in Washington, D.C. and people in any city want to do well by their city and by their people, but then to export that into a global stage that's building economic opportunity for the city and for the company, that to me is a really special place to be.
All right, Michael Aiken and Jamal Holtz with Link Strategic Partners. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.